Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where it's about TV shows that are adaptations of the comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, where we start off at was John, and he's in a bad place. Like, we've seen John very discouraged and kind of down. This is the lowest we've ever seen John before. And I think this is obviously kind of supposed to be, kind of like a little bit of a mirror of when he ended up like what he talked about beforehand, like why he kind of stopped being a cop was because he shot that person and not meaning to kill them, but they ended up dying as a byproduct of it. I think this is probably, we got a kind of a peek into that window, and he's even going to the point he's about to kill himself. And I think it's a combination of many different things. He feels, it's like, because he blames himself for the Janice situation. It's like, because I did what I did, I nosed in and kept digging deeper and deeper, and that led to Jenny protecting whoever she's protecting, and ended up, Janice ended up dying for that. And it's just like, especially because it sucks too, because I think he believed in Lawton. Like, he believed in it. He's like, oh, maybe things aren't so bad. And then also finding out Jenny's reading your letters. So, it's just, and now June wanting to stay when you wanted to run away with her. And just for him, it's just like he can't live with himself, just like his mistakes. And he's kind of going to kill himself. But, new walkers come up time and time again, even making from the Scrabble pieces, goodbye, June. But he goes to investigate the walkers because they kept floating down his way, and ended up going to Bill's and ran into Dakota, who's also with Morgan, which is like, hey, and obviously that's, for him, it's like, yeah, that water keep washing stuff down his way. It's like it washed June down his way, and that set him on his path. And now it's like, oh, it led me to Morgan. Because even at Morgan being like, yeah, maybe the fact of the matter is we're here right now. I found you, I stumbled across your fire at the beginning of season 4, and here I am, you finding your way to me. So it's a lot of stuff coming full circle in that regard. Obviously, a ranger is nearby, and John still can't pull the trigger, because obviously we know John isn't the type to just straight up kill people. He only does it when necessary. I'm curious, if his situation as a cop hadn't played out the way it did, would he have the reservation? I think that's obviously it's the biggest reason why he did, but I wonder, would he still have the philosophy that he has if it wasn't for that? Would he ever come to that if it wasn't for those circumstances? I know that is the core reason why he is, but I'm still curious, is that somewhere in his DNA that would have happened under different circumstances? You know what I mean? They make their way back to John's cabin, and it's a whole conversation about Morgan saying that he needs John with him, because it's like, I need your skills. It's like, it's like, together we can build this place up that I'm building. And then he also wants to use Dakota as bait so that he can draw Jenny out, so that they can get back everyone that they care about. Obviously John has his reservations for it. For him, it's like this island, this place was kind of his prison, essentially, his self-made prison. And he, and I think that's once again the interesting aspect, and I think that's what the purpose of this is. It's supposed to be the inverse of their first situation, where John was with Morgan when Morgan was in his own self-isolation. It's supposed to be Morgan being there for John when John was there for him. And I like I said, I like that coming full circle in that regard. And so Morgan's trying to convince John to leave, but John can't, because he doesn't even want to talk about why he's not with June right now. So obviously Jenny lets him know, oh, not only do I have Grace, we end up finding out she's rallied up everyone else too. June, Sarah, Luciana, so everyone that's not, everyone except Strand, it seems like. I mean, he's kind of in her good graces right now. Might end up being the necessary, the deciding factor in this will be Strand playing this close to the chest, because she even has Daniel. I'd assume Daniel's still playing I have no idea what's going on, so I doubt she's figured him out yet. So I think that's going to be a secret weapon as well. We'll see. But other than that, Morgan still needs John's help, but John's like, you know what, I'm gonna get you across the bridge, but then I'm gonna come back. I just can't, he can't be a part of this. He just doesn't have it in him right now. So I'm trying to, right, and the ranger shows up, and he nearly kills Morgan in the process, and John feels bad, and that's just adds more to it, because he's like, no matter what I do, I screw things up. Because I stuck my nose into it, Janice ended up dying. Because I didn't kill that ranger when he was at Bill's, he almost killed you, but it's like, I'm still alive, but, John's taking a lot of this person, because for him, it's like, the best thing I can do, Morgan, is to get you where you need to go and get the hell out of your way, because I'm just, especially because Morgan's in a position where he's killing people now, which is like, obviously, we haven't seen, this season's the beginning of that. He hasn't done that in such a long time. But, like, because him and Morgan both have that, life is precious mentality, so they're not willing to, go, at least in John's case, not unless it's absolutely necessary. But it is a thing where Morgan was like, we're going to have to kind of do things that, we promised ourselves we wouldn't do just to be better men. But it's like, for Morgan, it's like he kind of had to find a way forward, and he's hoping that maybe during doing all this, coming to this new place, that maybe, just maybe, John can find a new way forward too. Like, what that would necessarily look like. Will it look like the same way Morgan is? No, but because everyone's path is different to their, next step, and I'm curious what John's would, been. But they having to find pieces to the car, and obviously we learned a little bit. Like, John's talked about his dad's situation a little bit more. He had brought it up in the past. I don't know. It was actually earlier this season he brought it up about his dad's circumstances, about why his dad kind of left, because up to after everything went down, his dad disappeared. Like, after his dad, planted that evidence and everyone looked at him a certain way, once again, doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, John ended up, his dad ended up, disappearing to his own cabin. And yeah, I got birthday cards and stuff every once in a while, but that before his dad went to the cabin was the last time he saw his dad. So I guess he never found out whatever happened. Sadly, you probably assumed that after a while when stuff started coming, I'm assuming his dad killed himself or something, just couldn't live with it, which, it's sad seeing kind of history repeat itself with John. But, there's also an interesting conversation, and this is going to come back full circle in its own regard too, is that obviously for John, it's like he's saying that a death has to matter, and Dakota's like, why? And it's like, because if it didn't matter when you were dead, that means your life didn't matter. Essentially, there was kind of no meaning to your life either. And then she's like, so, and he's like, yeah, you need to go with Morgan because you're sounding a lot like your sister. But also, John was getting a new door. It's like, and Morgan's like, I get it. You're not coming with us. And it's like, no, I'm not. Because for him, he's kind of following his dad's footstep in that regard. But Morgan's trying to tell him, don't make the same mistake you made before cutting yourself off from the world. Don't make the same mistake your dad made. Because he's like, listen to me, the guy that walked halfway across the country to get away from all the people he cares about, just to end up at your camp and to now have the people I think of as family now. I want that family back, and I need your help. You got me here where I am right now. I wouldn't be alive right now if it wasn't for you, John. And that's that beautiful aspect to this friendship is that they always have kept each other going. And Morgan's just trying to repay the debt of you're the reason why I'm here. You've been by my side. You've kept me going this entire... because he even said, that's why we also need you. Not just for fishing, not just for being the gunslinger you are, but it's also because you will be the heart of this group. You can keep us from going too far and becoming like Virginia, And so, John is still stuck in his way that he's not going to leave, because for him it's I'm not cutting myself off from the world. I'm trying to cut myself off from the past. And it's just, it's I was going to tell you before I came back to the cabin, because Morgan found the tiles, and it's it's only so many words it can form. And it's so when the time came, they've got the vehicle set up, they're making their way through the walkers, and obviously the situation got hairy. The truck getting stuck on that walker, that was a bloody, nasty mess. Then John having to get on the hood and situate, the alternator. But I love the end of it all. It's just the plan probably wasn't to kill all the walkers. It was just to get past them, but they ultimately ended up killing all the walkers. And it's like, oh, and I just love that line from Morgan. God, John, that's some ugly mustard. And he's like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, I like Morgan saying that. I like that, you know. Obviously, Dakota getting in that good shot. She's like, John, lean back, and he does. So, but even though it was all said and done, John still wasn't going to leave. So Morgan calls Jenny and lets her know about his cabin. It's like, now you can't go back. But John's got it in his... Well, for one, he's pissed at Morgan because he's like, you had no right to take that away from me. And it's like, that wasn't your choice to make. But he was like, it wasn't your choice to follow me when I was injured with my injured leg, but you did it anyway. And obviously Morgan's thankful for it. So he's like, I'm not going to sit here and watch my best friend kill himself. I was like, that's beautiful. That's awesome. But John's suggesting that he stays behind, you know, while Morgan's going and get some stuff. And it's like, John said, like, I can at very least kill Jenny. And if the Rangers end up killing me in the process, then at least my death meant something, you know. And then we get the reveal that it was Dakota the entire... I had a feeling, because the entire time, like, Dakota was, like, a little shady. Like, when the conversation about Janice came up, she had this look in her eye. I was like, did you do it? I was like, no, it couldn't have been you, because I was like, you led him on in the investigation, so there's no way you could... That, and I like that being the red herring. It's like, oh, I led you into the investigation because I didn't want... Because I figured Jenny wouldn't be able to hide it if someone was poking holes in her lies, then eventually... And because it makes sense. Who is the one person Jenny would protect above anyone? I'm sure there's plenty of other people like, oh, it's got to be Dakota. Because that's the... We've seen... They've stressed it time and time again. She will go above and beyond, do anything to protect her sister, because that's the only thing that matters to her in the world. And so it's a sad situation of finding out why she killed Cameron. She killed Cameron because he told Jenny about how she was getting out of Lawton. And it's like, for her, it's like, that was my escape. For her, it's like she couldn't stand. She was being suffocated there, being suffocated with her sister. Because we learned a little bits here and there about, like, oh, apparently Virginia killed their parents. We don't know what the circumstances are. But it's a situation of she killed Cameron, and it's like, that's it. Like, he took away your way to escape Lawton, and he deserved to die because of that. Because for her, it's like, I didn't know Janice was going to die because of that. And I think that also speaks volumes, too, because, like, maybe that should be said, too. Like, you never directly, because you could have spoken up yourself. I think that, why didn't you do that then? Like, I mean, considering Jenny's power and influence, like, the people who probably know would have kept her mouth shut, but it's like, you would have, I guess, like, she was never alone long enough to, like, do that, because it's like, I guess so many people submit to Jenny that it wouldn't, but it's like, you wanted that lie exposed, why not expose? Because I feel like she could have done a little bit more before what happened to Janice. Obviously, the execution got moved up. That's also on Strand. But it's like, once again, it's like ripple effect upon ripple effect upon ripple effect. It's just one event, like a string of dominoes. One thing led to another, you know? And that's why I think that line of John being like, hey, you need to be with Morgan because you're sounding a lot like your sister. Because for her, it's like, I killed Cameron because, like, we live in a world where it's like, you kind of have to... Killing, that's what we do. Like, that's the only way you survive in this world. It's the only way you can... It's the only way you can get what you want. Basically, she's got them in... And once again, that's very much how Virginia thinks. It's kind of like, you know, you do whatever's necessary to keep going. Like, you know... You get what's yours, get what you want, you do whatever it takes. That mentality she has. And I think that's the interesting thing, because when you start this season off, you think like, oh, Dakota's nothing like her sister. Like, she's not so bad. You kind of get that feeling about Dakota, like she's nothing like her sister, and you find out the irony behind it. She's exactly like her sister. Being around her sister all these years, like who her sister is, it kind of corrupted her. Like, I don't know if they're trying, like, it's obviously, it's like, even with the walk, like, you can make comparisons in certain regards. Like, you can almost make a comparison between Jenny and, to a certain extent, Jenny and, Dakota. Kind of similar, to Alpha and Lydia. I think you can draw some parallels between the dynamics between the two of them, of like, you know, Lydia's kind of not like her mom, but kind of like, because like her mom's all she's kind of had for so long, like it has influenced your way of thinking and who you are. So, but dude, And obviously, like, she's pointing a gun at John. I was like, okay, please don't, please don't. She's like, because she can't have John threatening what she's built. Like, she's like, no, I'm gonna go with you guys to that place. I can't have you, like, threaten. He's like, okay, like, you know, I need a reason to, Morgan said, I need a reason to live. Maybe you can, like, kind of putting you on the right path could be my reason to live. And then she ends up shooting John. Irony behind that is the whole thing of nice shot when she shot that walker. Maybe that was supposed to be a little foreshadowing in its own regard. I was like, no. I was like, no, come on. I was like, no, it can't end like, I was like, no. Especially because John just got that picture of him and his dad, and it's like, you know, he was trying, and, you know, she pushes him because it's kind of like, basically, lives don't have meaning or some crap like that. She pushes him. I was like, damn it. But then he was alive. He grabbed the picture. He got on the door. I'm like, yeah. He's alive. He's fine. I was like, come on. And then Morgan shows up and it's like, what happened? And he pieces together like the knife. It was you. And it's like, yeah, and she was, and then we get the reveal she's the one that patched up Morgan, because Morgan's thinking like, oh yeah, I got this grand message of I have something greater to do, I have something more to do, and he thought was building this, that he thought that was the purpose. But then she's immediately like, no, you're the only one that can kill my sister. That's your purpose. That's why I saved you. And it makes sense because we know that she follows Jenny out of the, like, managed to sneak out plenty of times, so it's not out of, like, impossible, but it's like, now it kind of begs, now, I thought that was interesting, like, because they kept building up that mystery of, like, who saved Morgan, and for it to be, once again, for things to kind of come full circle in that regard, and it's just like, it's sad that the person that ended up saving him this time is damning the person that saved him all that time ago in season 4, you know, and it's just, obviously, you know, Morgan's contacting Jenny because she's at the cab. Okay, get your Rangers out there looking for John. He shot your sister, did it. Like, she's that adamant about killing her sister that's why she did all this, because she knew Morgan could be the one who would do it. Like, it's kind of like this new lease on life you have. It's because of me. You thought your grand purpose was to build some place. It's like, no, you're going to take me there, but you're going to kill my sister. Like that. Like, she's that adamant about wanting her own sister dead. And I was like, does Virginia not know this deep-seated animosity her sister has for her? But, dude, and then June, like, it's like, oh, the way she's running over to John, I was like, come on. And he starts growling a little. I was like, please no. I was like, please no. Please tell me that it's just going to fake us out by making you worried that he changed. And he did. I was like, I was heartbroken. I was like, no, that's so fucked up. He was so adamant about his death and everything. And for it to still play out like this, and he wanted to hold on. I'm like, no! That's the fucking thing about this show. There's, like, no happy ending. Because I've never read a comic, but I do, spoilers, I know how the comic ends, at least in certain regards. So I'm like, this is going to be, I've said since the beginning, like, this show's going to have a depressing-ass ending. It's supposed to be, I think, from the depression, the sadness and all that, there is more hope born from it. But it's like, and for June to have to be the one to do it, it's like, no! You guys didn't even get to fully enjoy being married. Like, John wasn't in a good spot when him and June are finally reunited after everything. It's like, you know, it's like you guys got married. Like, it's one of those things, like, how far in advance had the writers had this plan that they were going to kill John? Because I don't know if he's someone from the comic books or not. I was going to wait until I completely got caught up with Fear the Walking Dead and then find out who. I know Morgan's from the comic books, but I don't know who else is in this series that's actually from the comic books as well. So, but that's why, whether John's from the comic books or not, because obviously the shows can still keep people around who are already dead in the comics. I'm curious, like, how far in advance they had it planned. Like, were they even planning to kill John this far in advance? Even back in season 5 when they eventually got married, did they already have that in their mind? Or, I mean, because it's also a gut punch, because John, dude, like, it's kind of a little bit of basically the heart and soul of this group. Like, I mean, he's actually the start of the 4th season. That makes it so. I mean, it's almost like a gut punch, like Nick dying. Like, Nick was like, once again, the whole thing of, you see this, as people have said, like, you saw this series a lot through Nick's eyes, and for him to be dead, that's the crazy thing. Like, so it's just, especially because it's just like, I think given enough time, John could have circled back, especially because him and Morgan never made up. That's the fucked up thing. Like, that sucks. Dakota sucks. She's on my shit list. And that's the complicated thing, because the question is, if June gets the opportunity, will she kill her? Because that was the whole thing between Luciana and Alicia when it came to Charlie. Like, do you kill Charlie? And they didn't, despite what she did. You know, I mean, hell, she killed Nick, and it's like, look at where they are. So are they going to be able to forgive Dakota? I don't know. Dakota's circumstances are a little bit different. Like, she's so warped and messed up in the head. I mean, kind of Charlie was too, because that's the only family she knew. But now for Dakota, this is the only way she knows of the world. So, but that's the, you know, but John was talking about a death having meaning. And because if your death didn't have meaning, your life kind of, that also means like almost like if there was no meaning, if there was no, you know, something to like your death, like didn't like, was there nothing to your life? And it's like, you cannot say that about John Dorie. This obviously, like, he's impacted so many people. June is the way she is now because of him. Morgan is here who he is now. He's found the family all because of John. John was like the Kickstarter to all this, and once again, just to have it come back to this, you know, I mean, the irony to him washing up his own beach dead, you know, especially because he was able to help patch June up. Sadly, June doesn't have the opportunity to do that for him. I think that's where it's just the irony behind everything, and it's depressing. I almost did, like, I spent the entire time talking about everything else in the episode. I almost didn't want to talk about everything, because when you have an ending like this, it's so damn depressing. It just makes you, every other moment in the show, that much sadder. Now, getting to it, I'm just so, like, heartbroken. It's like, no, I didn't. It's one of these moments you're like, fuck this show, in the sense of, like, oh my god, I'm so attached to this character. Fuck you for killing him. Like, that's, I feel it. You can say this is me ranting, blah, 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 blah. I'm saying this with passion because, like, this is a fucking character I love, and it's like, what's this going to do to June, dude? What is going to happen with this Dakota situation, dude? I don't know. I was like, oh, I'm sitting here thinking about it. All I can see is that final scene of her June having to kill him. That's all I can see in my head right now. It's like, that's so depressing. I need to watch something uplifting after this. That's also why I was so reluctant to get through Fear the Walking Dead. It's like, I know how depressing this show can be, and I'm like, I didn't want to. It's like, come on. I think this is the mid-season premiere, and it's like, yep, gut punch. I mean, because, like, Carl dies at the beginning of, like, the mid-season finale, didn't he? If I remember, well, he got bit, like, at the mid-season finale. And then the mid-season premiere is when he ended up dying, if I'm not mistaken, like, you know, Michonne and Rick being there for him. But it's like, come on, dude. That's just, oh, I can't help it, dude. That sucks, man. R.I.P. John Dorie, going far too soon, dude. I mean, that's the thing with the shows like this. Keep you on the edge of your seat, because it's like, yeah. Nah, you think, once again, the show shows you time and time again, it's like, yeah, you can be around for a long time and still get it, or you can be around for a medium amount of time and still get it. It's like, there is no, like, safety net, you know? Just because you're with the good guys doesn't mean, you know, life is unfair like that. And once again, I think that's just more aspects like the warped mentality that, Dakota has. But yeah, Morgan being like, all right, we need to get locked and loaded, prepare for a battle, telling Dwight what's up, because obviously Alicia and Charlie just made it to the place, and it's like John didn't even get a chance to go there, because obviously Morgan was willing to do whatever it takes to get everyone back together, and now not everyone will. There's no Janice, there's no John, and it's like, going forward with that, like, once again, what do you do about Dakota? Because even Dakota being like, oh, you can't kill me because I'm your leverage against my sister, so you need me, so you can't kill me. Plus, I'm also the one that helped you, Morgan. So it's like, once again, for her to be the one that helped Morgan, and because he lived that, he's like, oh, like, I, you know, renewed purpose, like, I get to live, I've got to change a little bit, but for her to be the crux of his change, him becoming this new version of himself to do what's necessary in life, you know, he thought it was like someone else, but for it to be her to be responsible for, and for this same person to be responsible for killing your best friend who helped get you this far in the first place, it's just, the irony is just layered upon layered upon layered. It sucks, dude. I need to stop. I need to go take a breather or something. Like, I am that just emotionally drained of just like, damn it, John Dorie. Ugh. And don't forget, I.e., no why. Ugh. Yeah. Like I said, I'm depressed now, so That's really all I want to talk about. I'm interested to see where this is all going to take us, like how this ripples out for the group of like, oh yeah, like, oh, that, you know, that's going to mess with, well, on June, because remember, June didn't go with John when he wanted to. I'm sure sadly she's going to regret that. Alicia's the one that kind of was like, oh, well, let's keep Dakota around. Like, her and Charlie were the ones that kind of, oh, let's keep Dakota around. And Alicia didn't want to use her as a bargaining chip to get her and Charlie away, and stopped Morgan from using her as a bargaining chip. And it's like, you just never know how this is all going to shake out. Like I said, I'm sure, like, Dakota's circumstances are supposed to be kind of a little bit of a parallel to Charlie. Once again, will it play out the same way? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. June might not be so forgiving. Now, you've taken her husband away from her, especially considering, once again, John wasn't in the best spot. Like, even when they were together, like, he wasn't in the best mind state because of the whole Janice situation. So, they didn't really have that time together, you know? And that goodbye June, it's like, and for her to be, like I said, once again, her be the one to kill him. I just need to stop. I'm making myself depressed all over again. Jesus, dude. Really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good